Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon session of this meditation workshop at Vajrayana Institute. And I'm Cheong, and we are going through the topic of Buddhist Tantric meditation. So just to recap a little bit of what we covered in the morning session. In the morning session, I touched on the importance of the quality of meditative concentration or calm abiding to the success of tantric meditation. In fact, it's a very key element for the effectiveness of Buddhist tantric meditation to develop an enhanced degree of meditative absorption. It means absorbing our attention into what we are visualizing, into what we are meditating on. And you find that, in fact, built into the method or the technique of tantric visualization practice are elements that actually helps to enhance this feature of absorption, or another name for it is calm abiding, allowing the body and mind to calm all the various disturbances and agitations, and to be able to abide peacefully and blissfully in meditation. So that's the first one main point I mentioned in the morning. And the second one is we start on the proper aspect of tantric meditation, which I explained is make out two main kind of practice. One is called manifestation, and the other one is called dissolution. So we are starting with manifestation. As the name implies, manifestation means bringing forth, manifesting in our experience something different, something new, something positive and beneficial, with the help of visual images which are rich in positive association, rich in symbolic meanings. And by bringing forth and become familiar with those images and appearances, we are trying to activate positive processes within ourselves. Processes that are really beneficial for our sense of happiness, our well-being, that might help us to free ourselves from anything, from suffering and the causes of suffering. So in the meditation we did earlier, it involved asking you to, first of all, return your attention to the body, reconnect body and mind, and in this case, to emphasize the idea how our body is made up of the building blocks of cells, not infinite, but millions of cells, individual tiny cells that we can't see with the naked eye, but these are the building block of the entire body, the entire physical aspects of our being. And then to enter into, start with one cell, to enter into it, and to try to discover something different within it. Of course, it's symbolic by the power of imagination. First, to imagine the interior of that one single cell. Like, for example, one somewhere at the forehead, a single cell, that there's vast amount of space. There's a sense of spaciousness instead of feeling cramped and limited and all squeezed in and hemmed in the experience of space. In the version that I suggest, I recommend, I imagine a star, a sun, radiant, a source of light and warmth. It's my lazy way of visualizing light. Just remember the sun up in the sky, and then just sort of plonk the whole experience into the center of the cell, so that the space of the cell is illuminated by light and radiance and brightness. Not only that, but suffused with warmth, a sense of warmth. Of course, choose the experiences that are comfortable for us. We don't want to burn ourselves alive. So the sense of warmth, and hopefully bring in pleasant feelings, experience of bliss or joy that we have come to associate with the sun. We've been out in the light under the sun. All those happy feelings that are possible, we can activate that and hopefully bring it into our meditation. And that is for one cell. Of course, I also describe other variations you can play around with. You can find all sorts of things inside that. You can have a pure land, with the Buddha residing in the Pure Land, surrounded by the different inhabitants in the absolutely beautiful environment, and all involved in spiritual practice. And it could be if you love nature, you can plonk the whole natural world into the middle of the cell. A scene of vibrancy, of life, and full of positive energy. That's also possible. So I'm just using a very simple image, and then to spread that visualization around just by association. So it's almost like by visualizing it in that way, I'm bringing the cell alive, activating its really positive energy of growth, of regenerations, and so forth. And so the whole body, every single cell in the body is transformed in that way, so that my entire body is like and there's this sense that there's increasing sense of brightness and radiance and warmth and bliss suffusing all parts of my body, and hopefully also all corners of my own mind, and not just on the superficial surface, but deep within. Even all the organs are made out of cells. Even that is transformed. So it's a very, hopefully, for me, it's a very positive image. For you, maybe may not. Then you have to choose a different image that have a really good connotation for you. And for me, I quite like it. And the second part of the meditation is a process of reinforcing what we have visualized, to make it more real for us, and to intensify, if possible, reinforce the positive qualities that have been activated. It doesn't matter if don't feel very bright, or things don't appear clearly at all. We find ourselves quite distracted. Those are perfectly understandable, very common kind of experiences. There's nothing wrong about it. It just means that we need some time, and we need to work with them. So whatever we have, and we start from that. And I suggest one method of reinforcing it that is synchronized with the breath. To imagine that when you breathe out, that all the cells are happy to share the light, warmth, and bliss with its neighbors. Sharing. And then when we breathe in, then we take in, we gladly receive all this additional offering of light, warmth, and bliss into each of the cells. So there is a constant exchange of all this flow of positive feelings, so to speak, throughout my whole body, throughout my whole being. And the end result is it gets more and more concentrated, and more reinforced and solidified, that really my entire body has transformed into an image of body of light, of warmth, of bliss. Whatever we manage to do, not to worry. And to really, we didn't have time just, and to really see this as representing, symbolic of something wonderful that we can accomplish, or we already accomplished. Maybe we forgot. So it's that reinforcing of this positive image. Right? So that's what we touch on. And in this afternoon session, I want to say a little bit more about this visualization, and then before we do one meditation, before we touch on the next, touch on dissolution. Why do we want to go through this trouble to do that? Because when we are stuck, we are caught up in a difficult situation, suffering. What happens is we will find, and I don't think it's just me, certain patterns of behavior, certain pattern of reactions are constantly being activated and triggered, and therefore reinforced. Right? So if I find myself in a situation where I'm angry, so I'm just constantly triggering the anger. Sometimes it's due to the external circumstances, and sometimes just by me myself thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. So the anger has been reinforced, it's been triggered, it's become more and more often. And the threshold starts to get lower and lower. It's easier and easier for me to get angry. Trapped within this world of anger reactions, my experience also shifts into it, much darker, much heavier, full of unhappiness and resentment, and everything seems to be, the whole system is affected by it, because it's triggered so often, it's reinforced so strongly. That it affect my physical well-being, affect my emotional states, affect my mental states, affect my even my day-to-day experiences, it's almost get stuck in a certain pattern, and that is unhelpful, and there is also great suffering there. Yeah. So, and in the worst is in the midst of it, we may even forgot what it is like to be happy, what it is like to be relaxed, what it is like to be forgiving, to not get so caught up in this and that, and to not have to be so resentful and so angry all the time. So we actually forgot a big chunk of ourselves, of our experiences. So this kind of visualization is a healing practice to first of all, rebalance the system, bring us back into balance, remind us of what we have for us, what we have experienced, what we now can experience, and what in the future we can even strengthen. The positive, wonderful aspects of ourselves is very important. And the greater tragedy is if you get so caught up in the negativity, the anger, the shame, the guilt, the craving, the lack of low self-esteem, or even self-hatred. It is a self-reinforcing vicious cycle to the point where you actually don't believe that you can be happy. You don't believe that things can be different. You don't even try anything else, because you have given up on the possibilities. The mind, heart, and body become severely limited and caught in that limitation. So Tantra meditation is very much, first of all, to address this, to open things up, to shift them. And there are two elements within this manifestation that we need to take care of and to work on in order to increase its effectiveness. Traditionally, it's called divine appearance and divine pride. Divine appearance, or clear appearance, sometimes also called, is that whatever, not necessarily visual, but the new experience, different experience should come forth, manifest clearly or strongly and vividly. Because the stronger and the clearer, the more vivid it is, the more convincing it is, the more we buy into it, the more we go with it, right? And that helps with the second part, something called divine pride or divine confidence. Just take the word confidence. Confidence means there's a sense of trust, a sense of belief that this is possible for me, or this is true for me. Because a lot of time, I think for visualization practice, a lot of us, including myself, have this idea of what we visualize, maybe I transform into a Buddha, of all this light flowing to me and all. But deep down, deep down, I don't believe it. I still haven't let go of the other image, the other idea, the other identity. And so after a while, if you do a lot of this with this kind of attitude, you feel like a fake. People commonly try to describe this meditation as fake it till you make it. And I really dislike that kind of advice, because the problem is sometimes you fake it and you didn't make it, then you end up feeling like a fake. And you're just reinforcing the idea that I'm a fake. On the outside, I look like this, but on the inside, I'm all rotten. So if you can help it, don't go down the road. Don't keep telling yourself you're just faking it until you make it. Think differently. Think right from the beginning that you are not faking it. You are simply getting in touch with what is real, what you do have. Maybe at first, it's very hard to convince yourself because it's all very small, very tiny, very weak. Not a problem. No matter how small, how tiny, how weak they are real. They are here within us, and we nurture it. So we start with a very weak appearance, so to speak, all very blur, not quite sure what we are doing, not quite sure whether we are doing it right or wrong. But nonetheless, we just try. We just play with it, experiment with it. But occasionally, there will be a little bit of light. Just go and sit in the sun if you cannot remember how light feels like. There's a sense of brightness. There is under the sun, a sense of warmth, right? If you cannot remember warmth, and if you want to visualize warmth, if you want to visualize space, find a place where you can look out the external sense of spaciousness can come in and remind us of the inner sense of spaciousness, and bliss and joy and happiness, which can very easily to forget about it, because we are so caught up in our stress and problems. But occasionally we can remember it. We have a good laugh at a joke. We see something that we really enjoy, that really touch us and bring forth some warm, nice feelings. So we all have it. And of course, at first, when we try this kind of visualization, maybe we are unfamiliar, so it's hard to have a strong experience. No worries. Whatever good things that come out of it, however weak it may be, is good enough to start. We start with that little bit of manifestation or appearance. And the important thing is for our confidence to match it, to believe in it, to welcome it, to appreciate it, and to not tell yourself you're faking it, but tell yourself, oh, here, see, I am capable of, if I cannot visualize all the cells in my body, I can visualize one cell. If I cannot see my entire body radiant with light, I can visualize, I can see a pinpoint of light. It's still light. I may not feel bliss throughout my whole body. I'm not bliss out, but I feel a sense of softening of the muscles, a sense of ease and relaxation in some part of my body. That's good enough. So a little bit of that appearance or manifestation of positive qualities, and a little bit of confidence in our own capacity to manifest that, to have those qualities. Yeah? And then bit by bit, we try to reinforce it, so that as the appearance change, the confidence change, appearance change, until eventually you get so familiar and you have such conviction in yourself that just, it doesn't even need to go through all these complicated things that I've been introducing you. You just have to remember, immediately the image can come forth. Immediately the associated feelings and positive qualities can be activated, and along with it, a growing sense of confidence in our own positive qualities, our positive potential. Right? So those are the two things we want to work with: a clear appearance, as much as we can manage, and confidence, sometimes called divine confidence or sacred confidence in our own positive qualities. Yeah. Of course, doing the meditation in this session is also to emphasize obstacles in our meditation, which usually take two extreme. One is downness, which most probably we will experience it at this time of the day. Sleepiness, downness, heaviness of mind, darkness of mind, and lack of clarity in our visualization. Everything just become blurry and so forth, and just a sinking mind. Another aspect is an agitated mind, restless mind, full of energy, full of maybe sometimes for confusion, the mind jumping here and there, and just very busy. The two opposite. Work into the visualization itself, and we can, when appropriate, shift the emphasis is to find some way to help us counteract some of the hindrances we find in the meditation. But first and foremost, don't be too upset if we notice those hindrances. They're just a part of ourselves, and it takes time to learn to figure out how to work with them, how to relate to them, right? So, but just as information you want to try. When the mind is very active, occasionally when it's too active for your own liking, you really feel that it's way too much. The mind is just constantly jumping here and there, just absolutely impossible even to bring it back into your meditation. Then traditionally emphasize to bring your attention lower down into the body, like almost allow the awareness to sink down to the lower half of the body, from the navel downwards. Yeah. So you might want to focus on the parts of the body below the navel, and focus on qualities coming through from the lower half of the body that have a stabilizing effect, a kind of damping effect, to weigh down and slow down things. So qualities associated with the earth. So in the midst of your meditation, if you want to temporarily address the sense of restlessness or agitation that is a bit too much for you, and you think that, oh, maybe I need to calm things down a bit before I go back and to do the visualization proper, then you can do this. You allow your awareness to move downwards, become aware of the lower half of the body, and try to become aware of qualities associated with the earth elements, because earth have a stabilizing effect. So you can, like what I usually start the meditation, asking people to notice the sensations at the touch point between body and seat, body and ground, and really become aware of the sense of solidity, stability, even a sense of heaviness or hardness or whatever, that we come to associate very much with the ground, with the earth. So it's grounding the mind. So you may want to rest the mind in the lower half of the body, in touch with, open to sensations associated with the earth elements for a while, as a way of see whether we are able to calm down the mind a little bit. Right? So that is one technique that is advised if we want to deal with hindrances as part of our meditation. If you find, which is more likely in this session, the mind is very dark, very heavy, very sleepy, very slow, very dull, which normally I tell people is fine. Just acknowledge it, and just let it be. It's not a big problem. It's not the end of the world if you fall asleep in your meditation, because sooner or later you will wake up and you can come back to the light, come back to wakefulness. But if you find it too disturbing and you want to give it a try to see whether you can shifting a bit, it may or may not work, okay, depend on individual. You can now, the opposite of what you uplift the mind, you lift the attention upwards so that you focus on the upper half of the body. In this case, because the energy of the mind has been dissipated, you want to bring it back. You focus on a tiny object, let's say at the forehead, go back into that cell, at the center of your forehead, between the eyebrows, right? And to counteract darkness, really connect with the brightness within that cell. There's radiance, light, and brightness, the sense of heaviness, contact the sense of spaciousness within the cell. Spacious, bright, tiny, and the upper half of the body. And so this has an effect of activating the energy, right? Uplifting the energy, energizing the system, and see whether it helps or not. Most of the time, I think for most of us, they are not as effective because our hindrances are quite coarse and quite strong. And also they're due to some external conditions, right? As opposed to due to inner imbalances of the mind. So for example, it could be due to tiredness, exhaustion, due to a lot of stress, So a lot of these external conditions, their impact are real, and we maybe will have to wait a bit until we address those external conditions before there is a dramatic change in the inner experiences. But nonetheless, it's still worth a try if you are interested. So these are the two techniques for dealing with hindrances. Okay, so we're going to revisit the earlier meditation, transforming the body into a body of light, focusing on the cellular level, the transformation at the cellular level, as I will guide you through it once again. And but this time, I would like you to give more attention to the step of the two features of appearance, clear appearance, and confidence, trust in what you are visualizing. That they have their own degree of validity and reality to it. And also, maybe in this meditation, you might want to establish a way of helping your mind to enter into the visualization and to come back into it if you do get distracted. The most common way is to establish a sequence, a simple set of steps that if you do get very distracted, you forgot completely what you're meditating, how are you going to come back into your practice, right? So there's no fixed way of doing it. You just find one that is that makes sense to you, feel comfortable for you, you can come back, start from here, remind yourself of the single cell, the sun, the light in the cell, and then imagine spreading it out to the rest of the body, re-establish the sense of a body of light, and rest your attention with it. So if you have a very clear set of sequence of steps, then you don't have to worry if you do get very distracted, because I can always just come back and just start again, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, boom, I arrive again. So it's just this kind of another little technique that help us to become more and more comfortable in our meditation, to reinforce the meditation itself, and help us achieve greater and greater degree of absorption into the visualization. Right? So as I mentioned, you're most welcome to type any questions or comments in the live chat. Yeah, just for some to and fro if there are any questions. So in this meditation, then again we going to work on manifestation again. And if you do encounter some hindrances, I have suggested two possible remedies, one for sleepiness and downness and one for agitation. And if you feel like it, just give it a try and see how it works for you. May or may not work, yeah. And even if it does not work, not to be too upset or too disturbed by it, still stay with the sense of trust that we are able to, the hindrances do not last forever, they come and they go, and so long as we persevere in doing our best in our meditation, don't have to be perfect, we would be able to come out on the other end of the hindrance. The sleepiness will pass, agitation eventually will calm down, and we'll find ourselves once again back into the meditation, and we'll be able to allow ourselves to enjoy the process of the meditation itself. Yeah. Okay, so let's give it a try and just test out and see whether the second round doing the same meditation, for those of you who have joined the morning, the experience can be a bit different because now you're a bit more familiar and hopefully a bit easier. Right? So once again, place our body in a suitable meditation posture. So one of the conditions for calm abiding is really to select a suitable posture. Take care that the back is comfortable in the position, in the posture. Allow it to be upright naturally if you are sitting on a chair, sitting on the floor. Straight if you are lying down on your back in the supine position. Ensure that the hands and arms are resting on physical support, one that allows you to relax the muscles of the shoulders. You don't have to tighten them to hold up your arms in some special ways. Feel free to close your eyes completely if you find that helpful, or you can leave your eyes open or half open, whichever works for you. So I'm going to ring the bell to signal the start of our meditation. So we start with creating the favorable condition for the mind and body to settle down, to enter into meditative absorption. So first, by becoming aware of sensations at the touch points between body and seat, body and ground. Welcome in the sensations here, especially highlighting sensations of solidity, of firmness and stability beneath us. And we may also experience it as hardness or softness. Just know for ourselves that these are qualities we associate with the earth, with the ground. And by in touch with these qualities, we are giving ourselves, our body, a reassurance that in this posture, the body is well supported, well balanced, and safe. We hope to trigger the natural process of unwinding, of loosening up of the body, where the body can set aside some of the unnecessary contractions or tightenings. You can ease up a bit, relax, and find a way to settle down more and more comfortably into the posture. And next variable condition is to heal the connection between body and mind, to reconnect our body with our mind by returning attention to the body, starting from the crown, resting our attention at the crown or allowing sensations at the crown to come into awareness. And alongside those simple sensations, we may find tingling sensation, pressure, tension, relaxation, warmth or coolness. Also remind ourselves that this part of the body and every other part of the body is made up of cells, individual tiny cells, millions of them, the building blocks of our body. So starting at the crown, be aware of sensations, be aware of the cells, the makeup of this part of the body, composed of the structure of the hair, the skin, the bones, and all the other tissues and organs. Just have a rough idea, don't have to be very precise. Let attention move downwards to the face, touching, be aware of sensations of the forehead, the rest of the face. And where we notice tensions in the face, see if we can gently persuade the facial muscles to relax, to welcome in a sense of softness, ease and comfort into our own face. And throughout the meditation, periodically come back to it to make sure that we have not unconsciously tensed up our face, unconsciously increased the tension, tightening, clenching our jaw, forcing the visualization. So try to soften, release, relax. And of course, be aware that even our face is also made up of the various different cells, different types, performing different functions. And likewise for the rest of the head, not only the outside, but the inside, and that our entire brain is made up of cells, made up of nerve cells. Moving downwards into the neck, be aware of sensations at the neck, sensations at the throat. Remind ourselves that this part of my body is also composed of millions of building blocks of cells. Feel free to move at your own pace, don't have to follow me. Moving on to the shoulders, reconnect with sensations at the shoulders, the fronts, the back of the shoulders, the top of the shoulders, right in the shoulder joints. Noticing sensations, acknowledging any discomfort here or there. And also remind ourselves that this part of my body is made up of millions of cells. Extend awareness down both arms. Allow the sensations in both arms to come into awareness. From the shoulder joints, the upper arms, both elbows, the forearms, all the way to both hands and all the fingers. Notice sensations, simple sensations, nothing spectacular. Remind ourselves that all the tissues, all the different parts of the arms are also composed of millions of cells. Rest both arms so that they are able to surrender the weight, resting comfortably on the physical support they are on. Returning our attention to the chest, and we may have to return our attention to our own body again and again throughout the process. Notice sensations at the chest, sensations of the breath, the feeling of expansion and contraction of the chest, however subtle it may be, or the beating of our own heart. And note also how this part of my body is also composed of cells of different shapes and sizes, performing different functions, but together to build up the structure, the organs, the tissues, performing the various functions and purposes. When we feel ready, let attention descend past the diaphragm into the abdomen. Notice sensations at the front, inside, as well as the back. In touch with sensations of the skin, the muscles, the various organs, all the way to the spine and the back. These too are composed of cells, millions of them. Moving at your own pace, allow attention to move down into the pelvis, reconnect with sensations here. Feel the weight of the pelvis resting on its support. And give permission, gentle permission, for it to rest comfortably here, surrendering its weight to gravity. And remind ourselves, imagine that this part of the body, the pelvis, along with all the powerful muscles, and vital organs, are also composed of millions of cells. Allow awareness to continue down both legs at the same time, noticing sensations as we go from the hip joints all the way down to the knees, knees to ankles, ankles all the way down into the feet. See if we can rest both feet comfortably on the floor or whatever physical support they are on, and allow them to surrender their weight to gravity. And also remind ourselves, both legs are also made up of cells. So now that we have scanned through the whole body, reconnecting body and mind, now we are ready to transform the appearance. So we pick a single cell, however tiny it might be, at the level of the forehead, between the eyebrows, and invite our attention, our awareness to enter into that single cell. Imagine penetrating the cell membrane, finding ourselves in a radically different space. Imagine it to be vast and spacious within the cell. And by the power of our creative imagination, bring forth images, sacred images, religious images, secular images that have really positive associations and connotations for you, that represent something really wonderful and helpful, and fill up that space within the cell. Transform it into something beautiful, uplifting, helpful. It can be as simple as imagining a star, like the sun, radiating light, warmth, and hopefully even bliss into the cell, into the space of the cell, filling it up with something so wonderful, uplifting. Of course, feel free to elaborate it, transform it in your own way. Visualize the entire Pure Land resided by the Buddha, if you like. An entire forest situated within the cell, living tree, breathing, radiating life, oxygen. Wherever we choose to visualize, as much as we can, we are straining, we are forcing. Simply allow the images, the visual images, to come to mind as clear as possible. And to allow ourselves to believe in it, to go along with it, to have a sense of confidence in what we visualize, that symbolically they're deeply meaningful and they're real, meaningful, and powerful. And in your own way, allow the visualization to spread from one cell. Imagine it radiates out and spread to the neighboring cells, transforming them as well into a cellular universe filled with light, filled with warmth and bliss. And do that part by part, following your own sequence, your own steps. And in the next few minutes, as we do that, we see for ourselves how we transform the body and the mind into something radically different, much brighter, radiant, much warmer, if they're suitable, suffused with a sense of bliss or joy or happiness or whatever it is we can manage in our own time, in your own way. Coming back to your meditation, maybe on this occasion you notice the arising of certain hindrances. Maybe the mind feels very sleepy, dark and dull, or the opposite, the mind feels restless, agitated, full of thoughts. See if we can, first of all, acknowledge the presence of the hindrance, acknowledge that this is not a fault, not our own fault, but simply the arising due to different conditions. We can simply be with them, allow them to come and go. Can apply a suitable remedy or antidote if you know of any, such as focusing on the lower half of your body to calm the mind down, steady the mind, or visualizing bright lights, focusing on the upper half of your body to counteract dullness and sleepiness. Either way, eventually invite your attention, come back to your visualization and start again. And having transformed the body, if you wish to, we can reinforce the appearance, help to clarify the appearance, intensify the appearance, and also help to build up a greater degree of trust and confidence in what we have visualized. And if you wish to do that, synchronize the visualization with your breath. Breathing out, imagine light and warmth and bliss are released from the individual cells, sharing them with their neighbors, neighboring cells on the out breath, and on the in breath, happily receive and take in all this extra brightness, energy, warmth, and bliss to intensify and increase the experience of light, of radiance, of warmth, of bliss. And do so at your own pace, synchronized with your natural breath. And then finally, as you continue tending to the breath, breathing in and out, reinforcing your visualization, reinforcing both the clear appearance and the strong confidence. See if you can see, imagine and believe the entire body and mind are transformed, manifesting in a very different way into a body of radiant light, brightness, warmth, and bliss, or whatever good qualities you're working with. And for the last few minutes, if you like, you might want to spend a bit of time reflecting on what does this image represent for you. What might be its deeper meaning, its strong positive associations for you. Maybe this image of a body of light in which every cell is filled with that light and brightness represent a state of complete health for you, if that's what you're longing for, a state of well-being, of happiness, of ease, maybe a state of wholeness. So reflect a little bit on what might be its deeper significance for yourself. Okay, another 25 minutes, maybe a good 25 minutes of nap, maybe, which is quite wonderful. All right, so there is manifestation. Not to worry if nothing appears clearly. Most of my meditation visualization doesn't appear clearly. It's fine. Clear appearance doesn't come that easily. Some people are very good at it. Others, like me, are not very good at it. But as the mind settles down, as you become familiar with it, as things clear up, we all have an innate ability to have clear, vivid visualization. It's just natural to us. It's the innate power of our own consciousness, our mind. The fact that we can dream is an indication that our mind is perfectly capable of creating and elaborating on all these various visualizations. Yeah. So it takes a bit of time to tap into that ability and to bring it forth. Yeah. So it does need practice and experimentation. And when we are able to do it, we can sort of help us to a way of, I think of it as activating. I usually think of visualization as activating the positive or healing qualities that we already have. No, we don't know how to do it, but our body knows, our mind knows. We just need to provide the trigger to activate it, and it would do it by themselves. So that is, and the good thing is it starts from deep within us, from the unconscious. So we don't have to worry too much on the conscious level how things actually work. We just need to create the conditions to encourage it and to empower it. That's all. That's all it is. Really, it's that simple. Yeah. Finding the way to work for it to work for ourselves is the main challenge. Yeah. And we know for ourselves. We don't have to wait for other people to tell us. When things are going well, we can actually experience a slight shift in our own experience. we can notice, maybe we feel lighter, we feel more relaxed, we feel happier for no good reason, which is a wonderful thing to be. We feel more joyful, maybe more upbeat, more hopeful. We have a brighter outlook on life. It's have this sense of uplifting us. Yeah. Now, having touched on manifestation, which is something we have to encourage ourselves to enter into it and repeat it again and again, then the other main part of the meditation is called dissolution. Sounds terrible, sounds scary. It's about letting go, really. Dissolution is about letting go, because one of the main obstacles is the holding on tightly onto what is familiar within our so-called comfort zones. But what is familiar and what we are comfortable with may not be the best and may not even be helpful or healthy. It's just something that we are used to, we are stuck with. And usually I describe it as tunnel vision. It's like our entire attention, our mind is trapped inside this tunnel, and we see things dictated by the orientation of the tunnel. The options available for us, the kind of reactions or responses, is also limited by the tunnel. In the tunnel, you either go forward or backward, right? There's nowhere else to go. And the view that you can see is also limited by the opening, the aperture of the tunnel. This tunnel is constructed by our habits, habitual way of seeing things, interpreting things, habitual way of reacting and responding to things. And it's very powerful. It's also very limiting. And on occasion we may have a feeling that we are stuck, feeling that we somehow are not so creative. We seem to be just going back and forward, backward, forward, but this way or that way, this way or that way, this way or that way. And everything seems to be, all the possibilities disappear, just level only two. We are trapped in the tunnel. We have belief in and taking in certain limiting ideas and limiting images, and we have taken them for granted. We take that they are the whole of reality, when in actual fact it is just our mind grasping onto and holding on to some very limited and sometimes even distorting images and ideas and believing in them. Right? So this in Buddhism we call grasping, fundamental ignorance, grasping onto a certain image of self, grasping into a certain ideas of others, grasping onto certain beliefs about our world, about what is possible or not possible, what we can do or cannot do. And sometimes to break out of it, to break through, to allow ourselves to manifest something different, or even to taste or to experience something different, we need to we don't have to do nothing violent about it. We just have to drop those ideas. You don't have to destroy them. They're not real. They're just things that we have come to believe. And once we realize our mistake, we can just drop it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to smash it or anything. It's just drop it from the mind. Forget about it. Just fade away from our awareness. We don't need to entertain them. We don't need to hold on to them. And in a way, we are setting ourselves free. And symbolically, we can do that also. And we are encouraged to do this dissolution meditation or visualization. And there's some very complicated sequence we can do in tantric meditation, but today we do a simple one. So just as a cell we have been visualizing, there's a boundary. Right? The cell membrane is a boundary, a border, the limits. So symbolically, we learn to, in this next meditation, to just dissolve that boundary. So once the boundary disappears, the light, the warmth, the bliss that is contained with it is released, right? And then we absorb it into other cells. So we usually, traditionally, you are asked to do the dissolution from top and bottom simultaneously. Dissolving, absorbing, dissolving, dissolving, absorbing towards the center, towards the heart center. I think today we can do just one at a time. We do from bottom up to the heart, and then we work on top down to the heart until everything dissolves into the very center of our being. Almost a great concentration of the positive qualities and exercise of releasing. Here is symbolic, releasing the boundaries, the limits, the boundaries that we saw our compartments. Part of us is we are so used to our pigeonholes. We keep putting life in different pigeonholes and different compartments. We think ourselves into a box or a particular frame, and then we are stuck with it. Yeah. So we dissolve the frame, dissolve the box, dissolve the pigeonhole. Just symbolically release things, right? So, and then gather up all the good things within the center of our being and rest in that state. Rest in that state. The state of awareness, really an awareness that is clear, radiant, present, not bound by all ideas and all beliefs, and just open to receive and to take another look at life, take a fresh look, have a fresh perspective on all familiar things, all familiar people, familiar situation, relationship, and things. And maybe we will surprise ourselves. We say, "Oh, I never see this person in this different light. I never appreciate these people around us, for who they are, for their qualities." And instead, we have been trapped in old storylines that we have been telling ourselves. So symbolically, we dissolve the boundaries of the cells, and absorb all the energy into the center, right? And rest in a state of boundless awareness, if possible. So the good thing about symbolic is don't need to worry too much, so long as it makes sense to you. So the important thing of this kind of visualization, it must make sense. The sequence must make sense to you. You can modify it. You can do it in a way that somehow you feel it's more meaningful for you. You can relate to it. You can actually, another way of understanding this kind of visualization is you're basically following a narrative. You're telling yourself a story. Right? So long as the story makes sense to you, it's fine. It doesn't have to make sense to everybody. So like, for example, I tell myself, the membrane of the cell is a boundary. By dissolving it, I'm letting it go. And I'm also, on a deeper level, let go of all ideas and all hung up and grasping. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Good enough. So there is no hard and fast rule to it, and there is no some sort of fixed meaning or ideas that you have to do it this way. You cannot do it another way. You just have to explore a little bit, and then we end up at the very end as gathering all those positive energy into the very center of our heart, right? Having dissolved all the boundaries and all those limitations, and rest in this experience, rest in this experience of awareness that feels very bright, radiant, blissful. So rest in a very bright, radiant, blissful awareness. It's almost like becomes like a kind of a sense of refuge. So we can rest in it, we can be it, and then see what happens. Okay, so if there's no other comments or questions, maybe we can just give it a try. This dissolution one will be a short meditation. On your own, you probably can make it longer, but we are just going to do half-half. Yeah? Start from the bottom half up to the center, the chest, and then down from the top. When you are familiar with it, as I mentioned, traditionally, you do it simultaneously, top and bottom, enter into it, and probably have a greater impact, a greater intensity to it, but only true if you are familiar with it. Right? So we're going to do it half, and see what happens. All right, so for one last meditation for this workshop, settle back into a meditation posture. Once again, just become aware of your body in this posture, taking care to make sure it feels stable, supported, and safe. Recollect the earlier visualization of how we have manifest and transformed our body into one filled with light, with brightness, possibly with a sense of warmth that's helpful, even with a touch of bliss or pleasant sensations where we can find them. And here we're going to practice dissolution, dissolving, letting go from the cellular level. And we're going to do it starting from the lower half of our body, starting from the feet. And in a very gentle way, you might want to synchronize this process with the breath. And mainly the out breath, breathing out is a movement of release. We breathe out and release the carbon dioxide. We allow it to dissipate and disappear. And so with each natural out breath, we give permission to dissolve this visualization cell by cell, almost as if the boundaries holding back, holding in the light, the warmth, the bliss at the cellular level has been dissolved, has been let go of with the out breath. The boundaries that compartmentalize all this different positive energy in the individual cells dissolve. Starting from the feet, in your own way, at your own pace, breathing out as they dissolve. In your mind's eye, see those partitions disappear, fade away, release. Just as we release limiting ideas, old beliefs, old conditionings, and the energy release, the brightness, the warmth, the bliss, are absorbed in by the rest of the body, taking in, intensifying, concentrating the goodness. Coming back to the breath, breathing out, let the dissolution start from both feet. Slowly, gradually, at a comfortable pace, allow both feet to disappear and dissolve away. The cell membrane dissolve. Everything becomes light, a sea of light and warmth and bliss, taken upwards into the rest of the cells, which in turn, on the out breath, dissolve. Bit by bit, gradually, withdrawing all this wonderful energy up the legs, the lower legs, moving at your own pace. Feel free to ignore what I'm saying. Towards the knees. Breathing out, letting go, releasing. From the knees, move upwards towards the hips, concentrating the brightness, the radiance, the bliss, and all the positive qualities that are innate to ourselves. Until eventually we arrive at the pelvis, breathing out, releasing, letting go of fixed ideas and images or the pigeonholes in our life, or the categories, or the do's and don'ts, should and should not. We can put them aside for the while and allow ourselves to have new experiences, new perspective. And the pelvis dissolve as those positive energy get concentrated upwards into the torso of the body. Feel that as you breathe out, releasing, we are drawing brighter, radiant energy upwards, up into the waist, upwards, down the trunk, up the trunk of the body, towards the navel. Feel free to move at your own pace and feel that we are withdrawing the energy towards the heart, towards the chest, towards the very center of our being. Take your time and finally allow yourself to imagine all those positive energy gathering at the chest, just beneath your heart. A sense of brightness, radiance and warmth, concentration of these positive qualities right here on the lower half of your body. Whenever you feel ready, you can begin from the other end, from the crown, from the topmost part of the body. Likewise, on the out breath, breathing out, releasing, letting go. Imagine the cell release its boundary, its membrane, that dissolve, and releasing that light, the warmth and bliss that absorbed downwards. Moving at your own pace, from the crown downwards, proceeding slowly and gradually, even releasing the brain, almost as if our brain dissolves, leaving only a sea of light, of warmth, of bliss, to be absorbed downwards into the rest of the cells. Down the head, gradually dissolving, absorbing, until eventually we arrive at the neck level, which also in turns dissolve and absorb downwards. Imagine millions of cells surrendering their boundaries, dissolving them, and all those energy gather downwards into the shoulders. And here, dissolve from the fingers upwards, fingers into hands, hands into forearms, moving at your own pace, gathering up towards the shoulder as well. up the forearms towards the elbows, past the elbows, dissolving the upper arms, receiving, retracting into the shoulders. And then from the shoulders, dissolving towards the heart, towards the very center of the chest. This wave, an ocean of light, of warmth and bliss, moving downwards from the top, gathering at the very center of the chest, at the heart center, of the heart chakra. So much so that right there at the heart center, the energy from the bottom, the lower half of the body meets the energy from the upper half of the body, merging together, completely free of any partitions, any boundaries, any limitation. Rest the mind, the awareness in that ocean of light, of warmth, bliss. Become this vast, spacious awareness that somehow is suffused with brightness, with inner radiance, with a sense of warmth, warm-heartedness, and a sense of bliss. And see if you can rest your attention as this kind of awareness. Radiant, warm, blissful awareness in this very moment, here and now. Rest ourselves as this awareness, develop the confidence that this is as much a part of us as anything else. We are this radiant consciousness. And see if we can just be it for the next few minutes. Be this knowing, radiant mind, within which, of course, different things may appear, different appearances, sounds, sensations, thoughts, but that does not matter. Let those appearances come and go, but see if we can just rest as this radiant, warm, blissful awareness for the next few minutes. Okay, so that is a very simple way of performing practice of dissolution. And rightfully, this very last part, we ought to bring in our understanding of the Buddhist teaching of emptiness or selflessness, and rest as not just as awareness, but an awareness that is keenly and deeply aware, in touch with the notion of emptiness and selflessness, which are probably a bit difficult to explain in a few minutes. Yeah, but really it means resting quite free from our grasping onto all the different sense of self, different ideas and belief that we have built up, but nonetheless turn out to be mistaken views of ourselves, a more limited version of self. That is really helpful to put that aside. For example, if someone who, due to life experiences or trauma, live with a deep sense of shame, it's almost as if the self become identified or identical with shame, then this is a good time to let it go, release that image, release that idea of a shameful self from the mind, and allow awareness to experience something different, the freedom from that kind of distorted image and idea, and entertain new possibility. Yeah. But even on a symbolic level, like what we have done, that is also a good place to start. Yeah, and as we become more familiar with the practice, we can bring in other understanding into it, and that will further help to deepen the experience. Yeah. So that is my very short introduction to Buddhist Tantric meditation, mainly focusing on two aspects of it, manifestation and dissolution. You may find that in sadhana practice, sometimes start off with dissolution, sometimes start with manifestation, but either way. And sometimes you will keep alternating. You dissolve and then you manifest, and then you dissolve and then you manifest, and dissolve and manifest, and so on and so forth. It's just, I think I always think of it as flexibility training, training the mind not to get stuck in any one state or any one form, but to understand these two movements, that we can let go, we can dissolve, and at the same time, in different circumstances, we can manifest and we can express it and function and act from this very different place within us, and all come from within ourselves. We all already have that potential. And just to emphasize again, and what really helps, and you may find that make the practice more effective and more powerful, is to take care to cultivate the quality of concentration or calm abiding. This is true for Tantra meditation more so than other type of, maybe in other Buddhist tradition. Really the element of concentration or calm abiding is really important, because without that quality of absorbing our attention into it, you'll find that it's very hard to have a clear appearance, because the mind is constantly interrupted or distracted. Also very hard to build confidence. Confidence is kind of taking something to heart and really trusting in it and to believing in it. So if you don't have confidence, it's very easy for you to feel that you're just playing around, or you're just fooling yourself, imitating and feeling like a faking it, which is not really what is the intention. So the more you absorb into it, the stronger the experience, and the more you feel the validity of what you are doing. You feel that, wow, it really works. I really feel differently, and that helps to increase the sense of conviction in this in the practice, and also the idea behind the practice itself. All right. I hope that's not too rushed or that too much information. I hope it give you a taste of some of the essential ideas within Buddhist Tantric meditation. Do check out the book that I recommend, Boundless Healing. Is of course focused on from the point of view of healing meditation. But you can think of Tantra meditation as the very root of it is healing us of our sense of separation, and healing us from the distortion and the limiting ideas that we have come to somehow being conditioned and believe in and taken them to be true for ourselves or for others, and to set us free from that. Yeah. And okay, well, I think that's it. That's all from me. And thank you very much for joining in this Sunday. And I wish you that you would enjoy your meditation and continue to explore it. And hope to see you again, maybe online. So far, still online in the future. Take care and thank you.